Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the Gnarly Gnome. This is Cincy Brewcast. It's the voice of Cincy Craft coming back from an unintentional break, an unintentional vacation. Again, not a vacation. There's nothing vacation about it. It seems like this time of year, not only are there plenty of events and things happening, it seems like my kids won't stop getting sick. Even this weekend, my oldest woke up with, I think, another ear infection. She's at the doctor right now. So it's just everything, just one thing after the other. It's been chaotic, as you guys know it always is. But actually, I believe the last show that we recorded, if my math is correct, which it's possible that it's not, was Oktoberfest Quest Finals here at MadTree. Now we're recording here at MadTree, and I believe probably in the next month or so, we'll be back to MadTree to talk about some of the fun sustainability things that are happening here, and that'll probably be a bigger show too. We'll talk about that when it comes around. Right now, we're talking about the big news that is kind of, you know what? I think it's caught a lot of people off guard, and a lot of other people, not a surprise at all. It makes perfect sense. We're talking about this shift in the food program here at MadTree. Sitting down with Brock. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it
McMorran?
McMorran.
Yep.
You are let me see if I get this right. The director of hospitality operations.
You nailed it.
That's a heck of a title, and the title itself kind of gives a bigger picture of how this side of the business is shifting and evolving and changing, as everything with MadTree always has. You guys have been kind of at the forefront of all of these changes that have happened in craft beer from day one, when tap rooms were actually legal to have. And I think that the business plan shifted in the middle of kind of preparing to open MadTree to now food programs, to all of the other pieces, cocktails, and all of this stuff that kind of fits into what it means to run a brewery. That's a lot. That's a big intro there. Tell me what your role is here at MadTree right now.
Yeah. So as it lives right now, essentially I'm responsible for overseeing all of our revenue streams outside of our sales and distro channel. So right now that really is our restaurant downtown, Alcove Kitchen Bar, as well as our tap room here in Oakley, and our private events team in both those spaces. So really this shift for us from kind of this like brewing company to really a hospitality company.
Well, and that shift kind of rocks back and forth too, as the industry keeps changing and evolving, and people can't quite figure out what it looks like, and it's got to be a hard thing for a company to kind of manage when the industry itself still doesn't really understand what it is yet.
It's I think really for us, it's all about listening to the consumer, right? So you see it here in our Oakley tap room is we consistently see more and more women in the space. Right. We see more and more women asking for wine in the space. We consistently see different groups of people in the space, whether that's folks with kids, whether that's people having birthday parties, business meetings, whatever it is. So really trying to meet the consumer where they're at in all of our spaces. And one of the ways that we do that is through our product offering, right?
Let's talk about the food. Let's jump right into it. So you guys have a food partner right now that you've had since almost day one. Yeah. 2013, They came on board. Pizza, wood-fired pizza. Everybody fell in love with Catch a Fire. We'll go ahead and throw. They're great company, great product that they make. They've continued to grow and evolve as that relationship started. As MadTree keeps growing and evolving, the split is happening at the start of next year. They have multiple kind of brick and mortar locations. They just announced they're going to head into to West Side with a kitchen out there, which I think is going to be great for the people out there at West Side. I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, so food program started when Alcove opened up, and MadTree runs all of the food there. How did that evolution from that decision, as much as you can kind of show us that how it evolved from in day one opening that to okay, we should probably think about kind of shifting the way things look here at 2.0, and then maybe in the future for Parks and Rec, or however that kind of starts looking. Yeah,
it's all about the big picture, right? So really we had the opportunity to really kind of build our food muscle with the opening of Alcove. So now that we're going on about just over a year and a half, 2 years in that space, we felt that we're prepared to do that. So whether it's myself, or we also brought in one of our vice presidents, his whole background was in restaurants also. So really building that into like, what does hospitality look like? How do we take this to the next level? How do we have these big spaces that feel warm and welcoming, where we're able to exceed expectations for our guests, and just really create experience that people want to share, right?
Right.
So as we were kind of working out kinks through Alcove, right, we really had to kind of lean into the identity of that space. And for those who followed that space, that menu has changed quite a bit, right? So originally kind of started as this like really foodie, super unique ingredients. We realized like that just we weren't doing it great. It's not what the guests really wanted. So we've kind of pivoted, several times to understand what's going to make us successful in that space. And again, we do that through what the consumers are telling us. So really how that translates here is we had this opportunity, right? Catch a Fire, great partners over the past really 10 years. Their lease was coming up in the space here at 2.0. We're like, I think we could figure out how to do that, right? Like, I think we could figure out how to create a consistent experience for our guests. We can really deliver on, we call them our points of differentiation, and how we can really like grow the impact that we have as an organization as well. So we intend to add about 50 heads, 40 to 50 heads in that space. And if you take that kind of with our approach, called give a fuck hours, right?
Right.
And the impact that we're able to have out in the community with those additional heads in our space, we think is going to be pretty incredible. Of course, there's the business upside to it too. So.
Right, but it's got to be difficult. Like the beer side of MadTree, it doesn't matter what space opens up. The beer is probably going to feel pretty much this. So people come in there and they expect MadTree, they expect the beer that they've come to love here to be in all these different spaces. Maybe some different names and some different kind of some imaging around that beer, but the beer itself is what it is. When it comes to food, like people are going to want these very different types of experiences. The food that they're getting at Alcove is not going to be what they expect to get here in the tap room. On top of that, people are still going to expect the same kind of things that they got from Catch a Fire for at least a very long period before they start to maybe expect something different. But how do you kind of handle that that difference between kind of this beer side? Not that the beer side is easy, but the expectations are there and people kind of know what MadTree is. How do you kind of play that with food, and how do you kind of balance that out?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Really what comes to my head is we kind of have this like phrase here, it's craft to exceed, right? So like how do we craft a menu to really exceed expectations? And really when we were talking about taking over the space and what the menu was going to look like and what's the consumer reaction to it going to be and how are we going to execute, we really had to kind of stack ourselves against what Catch a Fire is currently doing, right? They have a great product. People have their favorites. They have a pretty good following. And I think obviously that shows through their other brick and mortar locations as well. So to not throw people off, we really wanted to continue to lean into the pizza side of it. And I think you're seeing other concepts do that, whether it's kind of like the Dewey's Braxton matchup, right?
Sure.
Kind of comes to my mind. So it's just something that goes hand in hand. So when we were really building this menu, we really looked at our space and we're like, what do people want when they come here? We looked at, again, they've been great partners. We looked at Catch a Fire's product mix. What's selling really well for them?
Right.
What are things that people are asking for? And really design the menu off of that. So it's really focused on like expediency and things being shareable. So when we did the like build out design, it was really about how can we get stuff out of this kitchen at a high quality and at a high pace, and how do we make it shareable for everybody, right?
Anybody who's ever been here on Friday night, a Saturday night, that it gets a little busy here. And so like again, that food side of it has to feel the same way the beer does, where you're walking up to the bar, you're getting it fast, you're headed back to your seat. With that being said, this is, not that Alcove is a brew pub, because it's not. It's definitely a bar restaurant. But the food and the drink is very tied into each other. Whereas a place like this tap room, like they're both here, but they're not part of the same thing. Like it's definitely not a brew pub. You're not coming down and sitting at your table and you put your napkin on your lap. And,
right.
Like it's a brewery.
Yep.
How do you play those two different personalities, and how do you kind of as a company handle those two different personalities?
Yeah, I think really comes down to the service model. I think in my mind, right? Alcove is very much the like go sit down. You have your cloth napkin and full service, extensive wine list kind of place. Here we just want to again kind of keep it simple. So again, I think the way that we did that was through the menu design itself, right? So how do we create food? I think I've used the word shareable like 20 times already, but really like how do we create food that totally just lost my train of thought.
I mean, the culture of kind of spending time in a tap room. Not that some of us don't come here and hang out by ourselves and sit at the bar, and like that's okay. but it's a very communal type of experience. You come and you sit with your friends. You sit around a big table. You all sit and you laugh and you talk together. And the food has to kind of mirror that too, and that experience. Whereas alcove is a little different. You come, and not that you're not with people, but it's more kind of one-on-one, intimate kind of.
Sure.
You're sitting and kind of having a meal almost.
Yeah, it jumped back in my mind. I think here it's like when I say pizza and I talk to you about your favorite pizza, for example, like there's probably a pizza that you had growing up, or a place that you like.
It's called Fat Jack's in Lima, Ohio.
Yeah, mine is
Fat Jack's.
Gallagher's Pizza in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So like we all have that like one thing. So it's how do we create again kind of this like nostalgic feeling around that specific item?
Yeah,
I think you can say the same thing, or you can't say the same thing about necessarily the food at Alcove, right?
Sure.
And you can't say the same thing about, I don't know, your favorite chicken dish or whatever it is. But like when you say pizza to people, I think evokes this really nostalgic feeling. So,
sure.
So how do we, again, kind of capture that was really the question that we had for our team. So really the food model was, it's got to be like approachable. It's got to be easy. It's got to be fast, right? So
what about, and we're making a lot of assumptions here, when Blue Ash opens up, the next MadTree project that is still a ways off before I get any kind of emails of people asking me, oh, when's that open? It's still a ways off, so hold tight. But how does all of these ideas, how does that then shape the next kind of food program where it's really from the ground up of, kind of, you get to design the space, you get to design the experience all around all of it together. How does that start to look?
Yeah, we're really excited. I think I already said like build the muscle. So really this kitchen here at 2.0 is an opportunity for us really to learn about what's going to be happening at Parks and Rec. So the idea is generally copy paste with a couple different ads. I think the space will feel totally different in terms of what seating and what the outdoor spaces look like. But generally the food concept we'd like to essentially keep the same. So I think up in Blue Ash that's going to lend itself more to, we've thrown out ideas like, should we have like to-go picnic baskets? Should we have like that space right now in the current design plans has a little carry-out window on the outside, things like that. So I think we've got to do a lot of learning here that will translate up to Blue Ash.
It'll be exciting to see too how the customer, what they expect when they walk into a place like this versus a place like Blue Ash where it's very outdoor centric. There's the park there. There's lots more walking around. It's in the middle of a Dora, so people are coming and going, and like it'll be fun to kind of watch how that changes both the food and kind of the MadTree experience there. I love stuff like that. I love watching that evolution, watching those changes. It's going to be neat. I didn't even talk about what I'm drinking, and you guys know that that's an important part of a craft beer podcast from the beer fridge. Drinking Safety Falcon. Anybody that knows me should have guessed that's probably what I'm drinking. It's a Mexican lager, dark Mexican lager, sweet, crispy still. Serve it with a lime. I always take a couple drinks with the lime and then kick the lime out because it gets in the way of the beer for me. Love the beer. If anybody hasn't tried it, come up to MadTree and try Safety Falcon. It's a beer that kind of is designed, in my opinion, to go with food. And as breweries do kind of bring on their own food programs, I think it enables some of those ties to get a little closer together. What are some of the ways that maybe the beer and the food can influence each other once you guys have kind of control over both of those sides? Yeah,
well, first of all, I'm glad you love Safety Falcon. That's my favorite beer also.
That's awesome.
That we do. So I keep joking with the team that we need like a birds of prey kind of thing, but then somebody else did that already, I think. So so we shied away from that one. So how does beer tie into the food? We looked at a lot of ideas. We looked at using some of our spent grain in the dough. Figured out that probably wasn't going to be very feasible to execute. We looked if we could hydrate the dough using Happy Amber or something like that. Again, it could be done on something specialty that we're doing. But I think the other way that we see it doing is using it in more simple ways, like in sauces and things like that.
Right.
So, Catch a Fire kind of has a Happy Amber barbecue sauce right now. I can guarantee you our barbecue sauce will have one of our beers in it, right? We looked at doing different beer cheeses, different quesos, and things like that. So
I love when I walk into a place, either a brewery that has food or even a restaurant that's doing it really well, where you order something off the menu and there's something that says, hey, you should probably try this with this beer, or vice versa. If you're ordering something there, I'm like, look, this beer was we made this beer to go with nachos. You know, and they're like, oh, that does sound really good with that. Like, I'm going to go try that. And when you get one of those pairings or something that just click perfectly, it changes kind of your perception of both of those things and kind of sends you down little rabbit holes off of that. It's, there's a lot of potential there for stuff that can kind of bring that relationship of the two together.
Yeah, I think we'll do definitely some type of like seasonal rotational menus as well. And then again, on some of the menu designs that we've worked on right now, it does have that kind of like would pair well with, like chef's suggestion is, right? Whatever the kind of cheeky language that we choose to use. Yeah, that'll definitely be a part of things.
For anybody who is not familiar with MadTree, which I have a hard time believing anybody listening to the show is not familiar with MadTree, this is a very, we'll call it family-friendly space, for good and bad. There are lots of people that's why they fall in love with this. It's extremely family-friendly, especially when you get here in the evenings and the weekends. Other people, it's not what they like about it at all. But talk about kind of how the family side of stuff starts to influence the food side too. We've all been to plenty of places, and I would say Alcove is probably one of those places. I haven't been there for a while, so maybe the menu is a little more kid friendly. My kids aren't eating there. My kids are straight up nuggets and very very simple eaters right now. How does the amount of families that call this their third spot change kind of how you direct what's happening over there?
Yeah, I think one of the ideas overall was like, how do we create an inclusive space? So whether that's things like ADA height counters and things like that, something that we've definitely focused on. But yeah, whether we like it or not, families are a part of this facility, right? So I feel it just as much as you, in both the good and the bad ways. But like we got the kiddos, we love the kiddos. We got the avid beer drinkers who want to sit at the end of the bar, and we love them too. So yeah, I think again, kind of from the menu planning piece of it, we knew that was going to be a big piece of it. So how do we make it friendly? How do we include at Alcove, one of the muscles that we have right now, I think, is our ability to cater to allergies and things like that. So I think these entire groups of people really kind of start when you're planning the menu, really start kind of falling together. So yes, there will be a kids menu. I don't think it's going to be anything like super shocking for essentially a pizza concept, right? But we'll definitely have some stuff for
pizza. Pizza lends itself to being kid friendly already, except for my youngest, who for some reason has decided he doesn't like pizza, which I can't understand.
Well, chicken nuggets then, right?
There we go. So. He will definitely house some chicken nuggets.
Yeah. So I think we've definitely captured a part of that, but we also want to have kind of those unique instances and those unique items, for the couple that's sitting at the end of the bar, for the little business dinner that might be happening out in the patio, something like that too.
How far do you push on day one from the familiar concept that people are aware of with other menu items versus how long do you kind of wait and see how some of that evolves and how far you can push people with their comfort on some stuff?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think we'll find out. So actually our kitchen manager, his name's Carter. He actually started a little bit early, so he's actually on board with us right now. And as we're, again, kind of building those menus, he's throwing out some pretty wild things. And we call them like beverage statements, culinary statements, things like that across our spaces. So we always have something that we want to point back to, right? So it's like, hey, like, does that fit? And like as part of that culinary statement, there is
sometimes that's hard for food people because they get really excited about something that's in their head, and it's like, no, we're a pizza place. We got it's like, yeah, but I want to do this, Yeah,
we were talking like Korean bulgogi pizza, or like a Euro French fry pizza. Yeah, so all good ideas. We just got to kind of flush them out and see what happens. So luckily, we have a space where we can kind of test those, right? So we can run them for a week or two, see how they perform, and then go from there, right?
Let's talk about time frame. If you guys are ready to talk about time frame, we know that as of the start of the year, Catch a Fire is going to be leaving. You guys will not be ready right then. There is going to be some kind of changes happening back there. You guys will have food trucks for a while. What's that time frame that you guys are thinking right now of when you'll be able to have your own program up and running? Or is that even? Do you want to talk about times?
No, we can talk. I'm excited to talk about it because I want to get it open.
Just put an ish in the bottom of everything you say.
Yeah, right now it should definitely be by the start of April. Should be closer to mid-March. That's kind of what we're anticipating. So.
Going back to the food truck partners that you guys will be working with in that kind of those few months in the meantime, is it going to be kind of the same rotating trucks? You said, here's who's going to be here on every Friday, who's going to be here on every Saturday.
It's generally going to be the same too the entire time. So Red Sesame who's won like the best food truck in Cincinnati, like I don't know, like 6 or 7 times, something like that. And then also Sweets, Meats, and Treats.
Awesome.
Will also be out there, who we've done a ton of work with them in the past as well.
Are they going to be here 7 days a week?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So you won't have to worry about not being able to eat when you're at MadTree.
That's correct. We've got the food covered. So
what are they going to be here all day? So kind of same hours as Catch a Fire's been open, or is it going to be a little bit later?
I'll have to get you the schedule and I can send it to you. But yeah, generally as we're required to have food for our liquor license. So they essentially have to be here the entire time. About that. So
yeah, that didn't even cross my mind when I was like kind of looking at all of this stuff happening.
We'll have coverage. So there at the very least be something here. So, and they'll be out kind of like in the parking lot side of things. So main parking lot side.
That's interesting too. Instead of out in the beer garden, well, I guess it's winter time too. It's going to be cold.
Yeah, we want to make them a little bit more focal.
Get around the tent.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want people to know that you think that they don't know, that you've kind of been looking at what people are saying? Because this is one of those things that everybody's loving to talk about, and like you get these very strong opinions about MadTree, just because you guys have been part of this game for so long. Is there anything you want people to know that you think that they are either ill-informed about, or
I don't know about ill-informed. One of the things that I think I don't know if battle against is something that we just have to deal with. We come across quite a few times is I think it's probably about a 50-50 split of whether people even realize we're separate companies right now. Right.
Oh, no, I've talked to people that I very much trust their opinion that have sworn to me that no, when they moved to 2.0, MadTree bought Catch a Fire. I'm like, that's just not true.
You're like, I disagree. So one, like sometimes that really works to our favor, right? Like Catch a Fire, generally great reviews, right? So when they're winning, we're winning. When we're winning, they're winning, right? And then there's the times where it kind of goes against us, right?
Sure.
So like if someone has a bad experience at MadTree, they have a bad experience at Catch a Fire, and vice versa, right? So I think one of the big things is we really want people to know that it's us. We want them to know that it's about quality, just like the beer that they've been drinking for the past 10 years. And that really for us, we want to make it about speed. We want to get food in your hands fast.
Well, and it's not, I think for me, and this is not a dig at anybody in particular, but there are some breweries that have food programs, even their own food programs, that just don't care about the food program. It's just, we have to have it. We wanted cocktails, or people were asking for food, so we put it in here. Versus places like MadTree and others that really take it to heart that, people are coming in here, they come to expect a certain thing. They expect good product, they expect good service, they expect, something that feels good. And I think MadTree is one of those companies that has done it right with Alcove, taken it very seriously, and believed in the food. And I think, and we'll see, you guys may prove me wrong, but I think it'll be the same here, where the pride that obviously has been taken with everything that is up there on that board, from beer all the way down to cocktails and wine, that you guys take it to heart. It's part of what makes this place what it is, and the food, there's no reason why you guys won't take it the same way. So
people come here for it, right? I think wherever it may be, again, not focused at anybody specifically, but kind of seems like an afterthought, right? Or it's kind of ancillary or secondary to everything else, right? Like beer and cocktails and wine, like reign supreme. That's what they're really here for. And I think we're trying to flip that a little bit, where it's like, hey, like the food is just as important as these other pieces.
It's interesting to me, because especially with a place that is super family friendly like this, I think that, if you get a family of 4, it's, mom and dad and a couple kids, and they're coming here. For the kids, it's not about the beer at all. Right. They're coming here. Oh, we love the pizza. We love, sit here and we color and we do this. And for mom and dad, it's like, oh, this is, yes, maybe the beer and stuff is important, but this is a place that we can go as a family and all be comfortable, and so like it's fun that as things kind of grow and evolve, that reason why somebody comes here does kind of shift and change. Like there are definitely tap rooms that I go to just because my kids like to go there.
Yep.
The beer's okay, but I go there because my kids like it.
Yeah. I think we're seeing it in spaces too, right? Like you kind of see Element Eatery, you see Factory 52, right? So again, whether that's centered around beer, but usually, right, there's some like level of adult entertainment.
Right.
And how do we like build in the kid entertainment as well too? So whether that's again through menus, activations in the tap room, activations in those spaces, whatever it is. But I think we're finding more and more like we can thread both of those needles.
Sure. Only thing left is to install like a little corner where it's like, when you go to IKEA and there's that little room, you just drop your kids off while you shop.
Yeah.
Go on, guys. Daddy needs a beer.
Yeah. Well, we got some cool stuff planned for up in Blue Ash that I think builds into that a little bit. Not necessarily a babysitter, but there's some cool stuff for folks.
Permanent built-in pack and plays where you can just toss your kid in there.
Just all padded. Everyone gets a helmet.
Very inside joke from one of the beer groups about the pack and plays. It's for anybody who knows, let's before we kind of start wrapping things up, I want to help people get to know you a little bit as a craft beer drinker. When did you get into craft beer? What got you into this?
Oh man, so I'm originally from Wisconsin, so New Glarus is
there's a couple good breweries out there.
Yeah, is my jam. It's like the classic story, right? It's like grew up on Miller Lite, and I mean like literally grew up on Miller Lite, and was like, man, what is this cool bottle with this fun cow on it, and just like a big spotted cow drinker. So that's kind of how I got into it. But really, I've been in restaurants for a long time, so helped build some beer lists, things like that. Right. And MadTree's right, like everyone's story's like, I remember on Kennedy Avenue, and then when you built this place, I was like, yeah, like me too.
I was there.
Yeah, like I remember how hot and sticky it was in that place, right?
Everybody's nostalgic for it now.
Yeah, right. And then just had some contacts at MadTree and found an opportunity here. So super excited to be here.
When you are, I know you mentioned Safety Falcon. When you are walking into any place, any bar or brewery, what is the beer you kind of lean towards? What styles do you like? How do you make that choice?
Yeah, I tend to stick more on the lighter side. So I've been like tiptoeing. I've been like a big fan of like this hazy movement over the past year and a half, 2 years, which is interesting because I'm like normally like legendary Safety Falcon. Mexican lagers, whatever it is.
Seeing colors is great. I am not a New England IPA drinker typically. Not that I don't like them, but it's not typically what I go to. But every time I pick one of those up, I'm like, man, this is a really, really good beer.
Yeah, that's the one that it's one of the ones that kind of like turned me on to it as well. So like when we started making that, and they're like, man, there could be like a brand family here. Like this is a really good beer. So we're excited about that one as well. But yeah, I generally keep it on the lighter side, though I can have a few more. So.
Right, I get that. Especially for anybody who I guess nobody would really know this. It is currently noon right now, so I've already been drinking. I've been here, and this is gonna be one of those days where you got to kind of lean a little light.
Yeah. Got to make it through. It's a marathon.
How do you kind of this is kind of really big picture questions here, but when you look at Cincinnati beer as a whole, leave MadTree out of it. Obviously, you're a little biased here. What are the things that get you excited about Cincinnati beer? And if you want to throw some in, what are the things that kind of you look at and like, man, I don't like the way that this is going?
Ooh, man, that's a good question. I'm just like so experiential. Like I said, I've worked in restaurants for a long time. So when I see some of the stuff that, like you can kind of name the place, right? I think they're probably bigger players more than smaller ones. But when you see like the parties that Rheingeist is able to throw, when you see, the igloos on top at Braxton or whatever it may be.
I would argue that it's not just the big people. So, and I'll throw, I love to throw them as an example whenever I can. Fibonacci up in Mount Healthy. If you've never been there, they have an urban farm. So they have goats and chickens and a big beer garden. And it's perfect. And they're brewing on a 1-barrel system, this tiny little neighborhood thing. Yeah. You look at that kind of experience, and then you can put that right next to one of those Rheingeist parties where they've got these big installations that they've built and stuff and games and all kinds of fun stuff. And those two things can sit side by side, and how much I love them and enjoy them. It's fun.
Yeah. It's just cool. Like there's, it's about like how things are like coming to life and like the activations of it. Right. Yeah. So I think, not necessarily long gone are the days of walking into like your little neighborhood joint, but I think really to compete in this market, right, you gotta like, you have to have something like the goats, right? You have to have something like the big installation. You have to have awesome food, whatever it is. So, but I don't know. I just like, I love bopping into places. So.
I wonder if, and I feel this way, that as you get these places that are able to kind of figure out those things, and there's always something happening, and there's some kind of experience around it, if it does kind of open the door then for there to be some places that are just the complete polar opposite of that. Like, oh no, we don't do that. We're a bar. We brew our own beer, but we're just a bar, man. This is just where you come and you sit and you bitch about the Bengals or whatever you want to sit and bitch about.
Yeah.
It's just that place where you can kind of get away from all of that other stuff. Like, it opens the door for places like that to kind of exist.
Yeah.
In the same way that neighborhood bars used to.
Yeah. I always joke with our team here, like we have these like monstrous spaces, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like almost like cavernous. I'm like, man, what if we just did like you said, just like a bar? Like, what about just like five tables and a bar?
I was yelling for that for years, but when you guys were still at 1.0, just quietly, that would be the perfect little speakeasy to open up and just have just a few tables and, just don't tell anybody it's even open. Just let people kind of figure it out and let it turn into just a hot, lame speakeasy.
But so awesome.
I love things like that to kind of coexist with the other side, because and part of it is that I spend so much time in breweries and at events and things like that. Like sometimes I spend a lot of time in neighborhood bars because it kind of shuts off that thing and kind of gives you this other side to kind of balance it out. With that, what's your favorite neighborhood bar?
Oh man,
do you frequent dive bars often?
Oh man, I have to say, I used to live in East Walnut Hills.
Okay,
and I lived there for about 10 years. And you probably know where I'm going with this. Maybe not. So O'Brien's has like this like soft spot in my heart.
Okay,
like the number. Well, the number of like Shark Tanks and the number of dollars that I've spent in that place over the past 12 years since I've lived in Cincinnati is wild. But what I love about it, it's just like it's consistent.
It's consistent comfort. It's like a warm little blanket you can pull over yourself.
Yeah, like I know exactly what I'm getting. I know exactly what the service will look like. I know exactly what my total will be, and I like something about that. So, and it's just you got other people from the neighborhood there too. So,
yeah, it's a good answer.
What's yours?
It's so weird for me because I spend so much time in different places, and if I'm going somewhere, usually I'm trying out a new place or I'm trying to experience something new or find a new local bar to write about. I live in Fairfield, so probably. There's a place up in Fairfield called the Elbow Room.
Okay.
That is just located in this little strip mall. It's been there since 1964, I think, and hasn't changed one bit in that time. You walk in and the bartender waves and grabs me a High Life and grabs me a bag of Fritos and
there you are.
Off to the races.
And you're in your happy place.
Yeah, it's funny the way that juxtaposition again kind of works with what you spend most of your time doing, and then what you spend those evenings where you just need to shut it down for a little bit. So, thank you very much. I appreciate you sitting down with me. For anybody who wants to know more about the food program, just kind of keep an eye on MadTree's social media. Keep an eye on my social media. I promise you that when things start happening, you'll be hearing a lot more about it. Or just listen to all your friends on Facebook who will probably be either yelling at how wonderful it is or complaining about it because it seems like you get a whole lot of opinions. And we'll be back next week. Probably. I don't want to promise that after how things have been in the last few weeks. So we'll be back at some point. Everybody, if we don't talk before then, happy holidays and go grab a beer somewhere, especially MadTree. Cheers. You don't have anything to cheers with.
Cheers.
Just
thank you.
you are.
Clink.
It's Cincy Brewcast. It's the voice of Cincy Craft. If you like this show and you want to support it, go to thenarlygnome.com/support and you can support all of the stuff that I do. But share with a friend. That's the best way to do it. Cheers.